Welcome to everyone who chose pile 1. If you're here, you're in the right place. Today's topic is should you wait or move on? Let's start with the first line and look at the overall energy of this connection and what this relationship feels like right now. So, pile 1, the first thing that stands out is this connection is real, but it's happening during their very strong main character season. This person is extremely focused on themselves right now, their goals, their image, their direction, their future, their growth. All of that feels louder to them than romance. You're not imagining the pull between you two, and you're not crazy for feeling like there's something here. There is. But you're dealing with someone who is moving with my life first, my timeline first mindset. They care a lot about how they're seen. They want to feel respected, impressive, successful, admired. You might notice this in how often they talk about work, money, personal project, like self-improvement, status, or what they're trying to build. And because of that, relationship feels like something they have to fit in, not something they naturally center. That creates this in-between type of connection. It doesn't feel casual, but it also doesn't feel defined. You might feel like you have a mini relationship inside the conversation. You might have deep talks, flirting, emotional sharing, long messages back and forth, inside jokes, maybe even physical chemistry. But when you zoom out and look at real life consistency, there is not a solid structure. One day it feels close, the next day it feels distant. It's very confusing because it never fully collapsed, but it never fully stabilized either. This person can come across confident, bold, and decisive on the surface. But emotionally, they don't love feeling dependent on anyone. They don't like feeling like someone has hold on their heart or their routine. So the moment they notice themselves starting to care, they pull back a little. Not always in a dramatic way. Sometimes it's subtle, shorter replies, less initiating. It can be more logical tone. And I don't feel malicious intent here. This doesn't feel like someone sitting there plotting to use you. It feels more like someone who doesn't know how to balance ambition and intimacy yet. They want connection, but they also want control. So, your question, should I wait or move on, is basically you sensing that imbalance. You're feeling like, okay, I can feel something growing, but am I about to invest into a situation that never actually turns into anything real? That's the core tension of pile 1. Now, let's talk about their current feelings toward you. Here's the truth. They do like you. There is attraction. And there is a curiosity. There is interest. You spark something in them emotionally. You make them feel seen. You make them feel understood. You probably bring out a softer, more human side of them. When you two are in good moments, it can feel fast. Message flows easily. The energy feels playful. There is a chemistry. There is emotional openness. You might catch a glimpse of how good this could actually be. But then their brain kicks in. If you ever dealt with someone who is highly driven or very self focused, you know this pattern. They can be emotionally open in the moment, and then later they start to replaying everything in their head. They start to worrying about losing control, about getting distracted, about getting attached. So they switch gears. They move from hurt mode into logic mode. Suddenly, they are more blunt, more distant, more dry. Not because the feelings disappear, but because they're trying to put the feelings back in a box. What I'm saying is that they want you, but they want you in a way that still feels convenient. They want the connection without responsibility. They like knowing you're there. They like knowing they can come back. They like the emotional safety you provide, but they are not yet ready to choose you out loud. And they also sense that you're more emotionally present than they are. You feel deeper. You care more openly. You're more willing to invest. And because of that, they subconsciously keep you in this, option space. That's why the mixed signal feels so intense. It's not because there are no feelings, it's because there are feelings and they don't know how to do with them. Now, let's talk about what happens next and what this means for the wait or move on question. Future wise, I'm not seeing a clean, effortless jump into commitment if you just wait quietly and hope. This connection shows a cycle. They come in, they get close, they feel it, then they retreat. And when they retreat, it's not always, I don't care. It's more like, oh, I need to feel in control again. If you keep waiting in the same way, the pattern stays the same. You stay in the almost, like almost dating, almost consistent, almost serious. And living in almost is exhausting. The future shift only if your position shift. And I don't mean playing games. I don't mean, you have to act cold or try to make them jealous. I mean genuinely stepping back into your own life. You should stop sending the double text or rearranging your schedule for them or stop being the one who always keeps the conversation alive. You can still be kind, you can still be warm, but you stop chasing. That shift forces clarity. Because if you keep orbiting them, they get to keep acting like the sun. Everything revolves around what they want, when they're ready, how they feel. When you step into your own center, they have to decide if they're meeting you there or losing you. And yes, there is a strong chance that if they feel you slipping away, they suddenly become more active. Sudden text, sudden plans, I miss you, we need to talk kind of message. But here's the real test. You don't need to speed up. Consistency is the key. They can love the chase and they can love the vibe or feeling wanted. But real partnership is boring sometimes. It's showing up on normal days. It's checking in. It's communicating when they're stressed instead of disappearing. It's not punishing you with the silence. So if they come back fast, don't get hypnotized by the rush. Watch what happens after. Do they maintain effort? Do they initiate? Or do they follow through? That's where the answer lives. Now, let's talk about what kind of bond this connection becomes long term. Under the right condition, this could become something real. If they mature emotionally, if they stop running from vulnerability, if they learn how to balance ambition and intimacy. There's a genuine softness here and real emotional potential. But pile one leans more toward the move forward than sit and wait. Your soul is not meant to stay stuck in limbo. If this becomes a long term thing, it will only happen when you stop over investing and start to prioritizing yourself. Either they rise to meet you or they fade out. And both outcomes protect you. So for pile one, this person does feel something for you. But right now, their main priority is their own life, their goals, and their direction. They're not in a space where they're ready to truly choose a relationship or take an emotional responsibility. Because of that, this connection doesn't lean toward waiting. It leans toward you creating distance and shifting your focus back into your own life. If you don't move back into your own center, this connection is very likely to stay as an almost a relationship, and you deserve more than almost. That was all for pile 1. Thank you for watching today, and see you next reading. Bye! Welcome to everyone who chose pile 2. If you're here, you're in the right place. Today's topic is, should you wait or move on? Let's start with the first line and look at the overall energy of this connection and what this relationship feels like right now. Pile 2 feels like a very mentally and spiritually charged connection. This person comes across as someone who thinks a lot, analyzes a lot, and tends to live inside their head more than inside their heart. They're very observant, suspicious in a quiet way, and they don't easily trust the surface level explanations. You might notice that they question people's motives, they read between lines, and they often assume there's more happening under the surface than what's being said. At the same time, they also carry a very private, inward-facing energy. They don't naturally broadcast their emotions. They process internally first, and then maybe later decide what to share. The connection itself between you two can feel intense in a subtle way. It's very heavy in thought, heavy in meaning. There's heavy energy. You may feel like conversation with them drift into deeper topics, personal beliefs, fears, past wounds, life philosophy, or future possibilities. There's a sense that you're not just talking about random things, you're exchanging inner worlds. At the same time, this connection can feel inconsistent. One moment they seem very present, thoughtful, and engaged. The next moment they feel distant, withdrawn, or lost. It can feel like you're standing at the door of their inner world, and sometimes they open it wide, and other times they just lock it and disappear inside. They also have a side of them that wants happiness, warmth, and simple joy. You might see glimpses where they're playful, light, affectionate, or very sweet. Those moments feel real. They're not fake, but they don't always know how to stay in that emotional openness for long. So they oscillate between wanting closeness and retreating into solitude. From your side, it feels like you sense their depth, you sense there's more to them than what they show. And that makes you curious, invested, and emotionally pulled in. You may feel like if they could just drop their walls, this could become something very real. That's the tension of pile 2. Now, let's talk about their current feelings toward you. They do see a future possibility with you. There's a sense of what could be, even if they haven't said it out loud. They think about you in terms of potential, not just in the moment attraction. At the same time, they're emotionally conflicted. Part of them feels warmth, genuine happiness, optimism when they think about you. Another part of them feels uncertain, tired, and unsure if they are ready to invest fully. This person is stuck between hope and emotional avoidance. They enjoy you, they like your energy, they feel good when they're around you or talking to you. You make their world feel brighter. You remind them of what connection can feel like. But they also fear losing their independence, their routine, and their sense of control. And there's also a pattern where they replay past conflicts, past disappointment, or past relationship failures in their head. Even if you didn't cause those wounds, they still influence how cautious they are now. They don't want to repeat old mistakes. They don't want to end up in a dynamic where they feel powerless or hurt again. Because of that, they sometimes create internal battles. One part of them says, I want this. Another part says, this could become complicated. So instead of choosing clearly, they hover in the middle. And very interesting thing is that they may also struggle with self-sabotage. When things start feeling good, they suddenly focus on what's wrong and what's missing or what could go wrong. They might mentally zoom in on small issues and turn them into big reasons to hesitate. Not because those issues are actually deal breaker, but because hesitation feels safer. So their feelings toward you are real but guarded, warm but restrained, curious but cautious. Now, let's look at what happens next and what this means for should you wait or move on. This connection has a strong potential for growth, but it moves slowly, very slowly. This person is not someone who rushes emotional decisions. They need to time to observe, process, and feel safe internally before committing to anything serious. If you choose to wait in a passive way, meaning you put your life on hold and emotionally revolve around them, the connection can start to feel heavy and frustrating. You may feel like you're doing more emotional labor than they are, and you may start feeling unseen, unchosen, undervalued. However, if you shift into a grounded position where you continue living your life, pursuing your goals, seeing friends, staying socially active, something important changes. They begin to feel the contrast. They start to realize that you are not a guaranteed constant, that you have your own life, your own options, your own direction. And that realization can wake something up inside them. This is the type of person who often realize what they want only when they feel the possibility of losing it. So, yes, there is a timeline where they step up, where they slowly begin showing more consistency, where they become more protective, more communicative, and more willing to build something stable. But it doesn't happen because you wait quietly. It happens because you stand in your worth. At the same time, you need to be honest with yourself about patience limits. This connection is not a fast burn fairy tale. It's a very slow burn, layered, sometimes frustrating process. If you know deep down that slow, uncertain connection drain you, then waiting here may not be aligned with your emotional needs. Let's talk about what kind of bond this connection becomes long term. There is a strong soulmate style energy here, I'm not gonna lie. It's very much like this person changes you. You teach each other important lessons about emotional honesty, balance, and vulnerability. So there is a potential for a nurturing, supportive, loving partnership. They have the capacity to become a loyal, steady partner once they feel secure, but they don't start that way. They grow into it, and it takes time, of course. At the same time, this connection can also become a healing lesson about choosing yourself, about not overgiving to people who are unsure, about learning that love should feel mutual, not like a constant question mark. So, where does Pal to lean? I would say Pal to leans toward move forward with your life. Not necessarily slam the door, but don't freeze yourself in place either. If they catch up to you, it's great. If they don't, you don't lose yourself waiting. So, bottom line for Pal 2, this person does see potential with you, but they live very heavily inside their own mind. They want connection, but they don't fully trust themselves or their ability to handle it yet. Because of that, This connection doesn't ask you to put your life on hold. It asks you to keep moving forward while simply observing what they choose to do. If you can walk slowly and patiently, this connection can continue. But you definitely need patience and you should know it will take times. If not, it's okay to let it fade naturally. And that was all for pile 2. Thank you for watching today and see you next reading. Bye. Welcome to everyone who chose pile 3. If you're here, you're in the right place. Today's topic is, should you wait or move on? Let's start with the first line and look at the overall energy of this connection and what this relationship feels like right now. So pile 3, the main energy around this connection feels soft, emotional, romantic, and a little bit dreamy. This is not a loud or chaotic connection. This is not intense in a dramatic way. It's very quiet. And it's subtle and warm, tender. It feels like something that slowly developed rather than something that exploded overnight. The person you're dealing with has a very rich inner world. They live a lot inside their imagination. They think in feelings, images, and possibilities. They can easily picture what something could become even before it becomes real. They are naturally drawn to emotional depth, meaningful conversations, and connections that feel soulful rather than shallow. At the same time, they are also very comfort oriented. They like what feels familiar. They like what feels safe. They like routines. They like staying in their bubble. You might notice they enjoy staying home, watching shows, scrolling, ordering food, gaming, zoning out. Comfort is a big coping mechanism for them. So you're dealing with someone who is emotionally sensitive and romantic on the inside, but slow and cautious when it comes to real life action. That combination creates this type of connection where feelings exist, but movement feels delayed. But between you two, there's a mutual liking, mutual attraction, mutual softness. It doesn't feel one sided, it doesn't feel forced, it feels very natural. It feels like you genuinely enjoy each other's presence. You might feel emotionally invested in them. You think about them a lot, you replay conversations, you wonder where this is going. You feel attached in a quiet, steady way. From their side, they also feel attached, but they don't always know how to turn feelings into steps. So the connection sits in this suspended space. It's like standing in a doorway together, and neither of you has fully stepped through yet. This person is not someone who rushes. They don't move fast emotionally. They need to feel safe inside before they move forward. And they don't like making promises they're not sure they can keep. They don't like starting things they're not sure they can sustain. So even when they feel something, they pause. They check themselves, they question themselves, they slow themselves down. Which can be confusing because, from your perspective, it feels like we already feel something, so why are not we moving? That's the core dynamic of pile 3. There's also something important about how this person experiences desire. They don't feel in sharp, urgent waves. It's more like, I feel you, I'm sitting with it, I'm letting it exist. They tend to fall slowly. They notice themselves caring before wanting to act, which means their heart moves faster than their feet. Then, what's their current feelings toward you? They genuinely like you. They see you as someone they could actually be in a relationship with. They feel emotional compatibility with you. They feel a heart level connection. You make them feel understood and you make them feel safe emotionally. You make them feel cared for. You probably bring out their softer side, their vulnerable side, the side of them that doesn't always come out around other people. They also think about long term potential, even if they haven't said it out loud. They imagine what life could look like with you, what kind of partner you would be, what a relationship with you might feel like. At the same time, they're in a very reflective phase. What I mean by that, they're questioning their readiness, their timing, their emotional capacity. This person feels deeply, but they don't always feel stable inside. So when emotions come up, instead of running forward, they pause, they analyze, and they ask themselves things like, am I ready? Can I handle this? Can I show up consistently? They don't want to move fast and then hurt you. And they don't want to promise more than they can give. So their feelings are real but measured. They care, they attracted, emotionally drawn to you, but they are very cautious. They may show affection in a very practical and small way, like checking in, remembering little details about you, being gentle, sometimes being quietly protective. So if you've been wondering whether they feel the same way you do, the answer is yes, just at a slower emotional tempo. Now, let's talk about what happens next and what this means for should you wait or move on. I can see this connection does have a genuine growth potential. There is definitely for the energy here. It's not explosive, but it's very slow burn growth energy. What I'm seeing is gradual progression. It can be small shift, small improvement, and slightly more consistency, slightly more emotional courage over time. Not overnight, not in a big moment. It's more like building brick by brick. What this slow build can look like in a real life is small behavioral changes like replying a little faster, remembering more details, as I said, opening up about their day instead of just the surface level topics. It's not intensely, it's more curiously, gently. Those are signs of forward movement for this person. That's their love language when they're still learning how to show up. So if you choose to wait, the version of waiting that works here is patient but grounded. You're not holding your breath or putting your life on pause. You continue living your life, pursuing your goals, staying open to experience. You allow this connection to develop naturally, but you don't shrink yourself to make it happen. If you choose to move on impulsively out of frustration, there's a good chance you might always feel a lingering, like, what if scenario. Because this connection is not empty. There is something real here. But moving on doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to mean burning bridges. It can simply mean you stop centering your emotional world around them. Stop organizing your life around when they reply, waiting for them, make the first move. You open space for other possibilities. And here's something very real about this dynamic. If you quietly continue living your life and expanding your world, this person starts to fill the gap. Not in a panic way, it's more like quiet realization. Oh, they're not just sitting there, they're not frozen in place. Their realization doesn't always make them speak immediately, but it starts shifting something inside, and it moves them from comfort into decision. This person is actually more likely to step up when they sense that you're not stuck waiting. They don't respond well to pressure, they don't well to ultimatums or emotional chasing, but they do respond to reality. Reality being you have a life, you have options, you're moving forward. So if they keep pace with you, beautiful. If they fall behind, you don't slow yourself down to match them. Then, what kind of bond this connection becomes long term? There's a strong potential for a loving, emotionally supportive relationship here. This could become a gentle partnership, one where emotional safety, care, and mutual understandings are central. This person has the capacity to become steady, they have the capacity to become reliable, they can grow into consistency. But you should know they don't start that way. They start as someone learning how to show up emotionally, step by step. So, this connection can become a real love story, or it can become a meaningful chapter that taught you what emotional alignment feels like. I would say pile 3 slightly leans toward weight. The feelings between you are mutual and real, but this person naturally moves very slowly. Their heart gets there before their actions do. Because of that, this connection leans toward patient, grounded waiting rather than forcing movement. Not putting your life on hold, but allowing things to unfold at a slow, steady pace. And I want to say, out of all the piles, this is the one that feels the most worth waiting for, as long as you don't rush the process. And as always, choice is yours. That was all for pile 3. Thank you for watching today, and see you next reading. Bye. Welcome to everyone who chose pile 4. If you're here, you're in the right place. Today's topic is, should you wait or move on? Let's start with the first line and look at the overall energy of this connection and what this relationship feels like right now. So, pile 4, the main energy around this connection feels emotionally meaningful, mentally stimulating, and quietly intense. This is not a definitely shallow connection, and it's not casual, forgettable type of connection. There's a sense that you and this person genuinely affect each other, even if nothing has fully defined yet, or things feels unclear. If you haven't labeled anything, there's a feeling of recognition here, like you didn't just randomly cross path. The person you're dealing with come across as someone who appears fairly composed on the outside. They can seem logical, level-headed, put together, like they genuinely know how to function in the world. They can be good at masking what they're actually feeling. So from the outside, people might see them as calm, rational, maybe even a little emotional detached. But internally, they're much more emotional than they let on. They think deeply, they feel deeply, they analyze everything, they replay conversations, they sit with their emotions quietly rather than expressing them out loud. And at the same time, they also have a strong escapist side, which means they may cope with stress by binge watching shows, scrolling, gaming, sleeping, distracting themselves. It's because sitting with emotions feels overwhelming sometimes. So you're dealing with someone who has a deep heart, but a nervous system that doesn't always know how to handle intensity. Between you two, the connection feels emotionally charged. There's attraction, curiosity, mental stimulation, emotional pull. You probably feel like conversations flow easily, like you can talk about real things, not just the surface level stuff. There's a sense that you understand each other in a quiet way, even when you're not saying everything out loud. At the same time, this connection may feel inconsistent. One moment they seem very present, engaged, warm, curious. Another moment, they feel distant, quiet, pulled into themselves. That doesn't mean their feelings disappear, it means they retreat inward to process. So the connection feels deep but stop and go, close but not fully anchored yet. That's the core energy of pile 4. Now, let's talk about their current feelings toward you. This person is having a bit of an internal awakening when it comes to you. They're realizing that what they feel is not casual, and you're not just someone they talk to. You're not just entertainment or passing time. They see you as a real romantic possibilities. They feel emotional attraction and mental attraction. They like how you think, how you express yourself, your emotional energy. They really feel drawn to your warmth. They also feel a heart level pull. You make them feel something, you make them feel softer, more open, more aware of their own emotions. And that's a big deal for them because this person doesn't fall easily. They don't open easily, they don't give their heart lightly. So when they notice themselves caring, it shakes them a little. They start asking themselves questions. Do I actually want a relationship right now? Or am I ready for something real? Part of them really wants to move toward you. They imagine what dating you could feel like, or what being with you could look like, emotional closeness, affection, partnership. But another part of them feels scared. Responsibility, vulnerability, getting hurt, choosing wrong. So they are sitting in that in between space, wanting you, but not fully trusting themselves yet. But you have to know that their feelings toward you are real and it's very strong. But they're being held back by fear and overthinking. This person tends to live in their head. So instead of acting immediately, they analyze, they debate, replay, hesitate. They might show interest in small ways rather than big, grand gestures. It can be just checking in, asking about your day, um, being emotionally present in quiet ways. They may even test the water sometimes, saying something slightly flirty, opening up a little more than usual, then pulling back to see how they feel afterward. So if you've been wondering whether they feel something for you, the answer is yes, very much yes. And they just haven't fully figured out what to do with those feelings yet. Then, what happens next and what this means for should you wait or move on question. This connection has strong potential to turn into real relationship. There is mutual attraction, mutual emotional availability, mutual curiosity about where this could go. But it doesn't move fast. This is not a whirlwind connection. This is a slow, unfolding type of energy. And what I'm seeing is it's a gradual movement, more honesty over time, more emotional openness, more direct communication. It doesn't happen all at once. And it can show as a series of a small shift. They start being more consistent, initiating a little more, opening up about their feelings more, showing more intentional interest. That's how this person moves. If you stay open, warm, and grounded, the connection can naturally deepen. If you push for immediate answers or force clarity before they're ready, they may pull back because the pressure triggers their fear. So, the best position for you here is calm confidence. You don't chase, you don't beg, you don't over explain, but you stay present, warm, and emotionally available. But you also continue living your life. You don't put everything on hold for them. And here's something important This person is much more likely to step up when they sense that you're not stuck. When they see that you have a life, that you're moving forward, that you're not waiting around in uncertainty, that activates their awareness. It makes them realize that access to you is not unlimited, and that realization pushes them toward decision. So I would say the energy here is not, wait forever. It's not like a runaway either. It's move forward with your life. Let the connection walk alongside you if it can. Then what kind of bond this connection becomes long term? There is a strong potential for emotional fulfillment here. This could become nurturing, loving, affectionate partnership. A relationship where you feel emotionally seen, where communication improves over time, where both of you grow into more emotionally mature version of yourselves. They have the capacity to become a loyal and caring partner. They're not careless with love, they are just cautious. And while that can feel frustrating in the beginning, it also means that when they choose seriously. So this connection can become a real love story, or it can become an important lesson about mutual effort, timing, and emotional readiness. But I will say Paul 4 leans toward the wait, but don't do blind waiting and not passive waiting. Wait while watching actions, staying grounded, still living your life. So, pile 4. This person is realizing that their feelings for you are real, but they are still afraid of the responsibility that comes with choosing a relationship. Because of that, this connection leans toward giving it time without pressure, staying open, staying warm, but not forcing clarity. If you allow things to unfold naturally, this connection does have a real potential to turn into something solid. So take a moment to listen to your heart and make the choice that feels right for you. That was all for Power 4. Thank you for watching today and see you next reading. Bye.